as we see
probably some mint juleps. Some mint juleps being
they looking good.
delivered. Can we get some up here? It is happy hour.
Mint julep is cream. Come on, Barry.
I know that, and it's got the little mint out of it, Scott. I'm just saying, like, she had a plate of drinks. One of them had to be a mint julep.
Yeah.
I know the first one you saw was pink. It was probably some sort of like,
Woodford Spire.
We got to find out what
Woodford
the pink
Spire,
one is.
Yeah. Woodford Spire. Yeah.
You think that's what Woodford Spire? Yeah. Or I'm just thinking of other like pink drinks.
Yeah.
Like Sex on the Beach, isn't that one that's like a fruity, like that's one my.
If you guys didn't already know, we're margaritas on the rocks, men.
We
at
are
the Derby. We're
I
not
was
really.
about to say,
We're not really.
I say, who be drinking some pink drinks?
We're not really into the pink drinks.
Everyone knows there's another pink drink. There's someone ask her, hey, what's that drink?
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. That's right, Golden Tempo drinks for free. What a race at the Kentucky Derby. My goodness.
Came from way back down. Yeah.
I have to throw the challenge flag on Drew Dinsick's doesn't eat pink drinks thing. I was with Drew Dinsick a week ago in LA, and he ordered a rosé, which is pink adjacent, very close to pink.
Very close to pink.
Yeah.
It is in the color hue of pink. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, it's in the realm, and I believe I've seen him drink strawberry refresher drinks at Starbucks before as well. So it's a big pink
I believe
drinker.
all of that. And it's interesting, by the way, as I'm sitting here making fun of like pink drinks. I mean, everyone knows I am Pinot Matty. I enjoy a nice Pinot Grigio. So, Ryan Oswald, any of you degenerates win any good bets at the Derby? Yeah, you know what? I want to tell you something. For all of Drew Dinsick's pink drink. His indulgence, his pink drink indulgence. He's pretty good at the ponies. I did pretty well at the Derby. I didn't have the winner of the actual Derby, but throughout the 3 days, through Thurby, through the Oaks, and through the other races of the Derby, I made money, and it's entirely because all I did was, all right, Drew, who do we like in this one?
Yeah.
I mean, so I just tailed Drew the entire time.
Yeah. Thoughts on the word Thurby? It's kind of.
I like it.
Derby.
I'm in.
It's easy.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Derby week on Thursday.
That's right. I'm not saying it's the most clever name, but what I will tell you is that when you are there in Louisville at Churchill Downs, it all works.
Sure.
You're dressed up, you feel good, people are handing you drinks, you're drinking them, you're throwing money down, Drew's telling you what to win, you bet, it's good. Yeah. It's all, the Kentucky Derby is, my wife and I, it is our favorite weekend of the year. My wife enjoys it more than going to the Super Bowl or any other sporting event. It's just it's an unbelievably great time, and so now we've been doing this for years, and so like Beth now knows, she knows Drew and she knows Steve and she loves hanging out with them. There's another couple there that we like. We hang out. My son Connor was driving up from Alabama. He's
the original Connor.
Yes.
The original Connor, the one I like, the Connor I like.
That's right.
My son Connor came up, and so
opposed to Connor too.
He's now 21, and so we were able to.
He could partake. He had his first beer at the Derby.
Had his first drink at the Derby. So we had a great time. It was Derby was an unbelievable time. There.
Kentucky Matty.
Kentucky Matty.
Stuntman
Matty, yes.
Stuntman Shough makes a good point. He said Jay immediately outs his replacement. Well done, sir. In Drew Dinsick.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. No, me and Drew are on the level. Everything flies. We can take shots at each other's drink choices. Drew also a big wine guy. He's got a lot going on, Drew Dinsick. He's also like
He's a man of
geological.
taste.
He's like a geological engineer.
I will tell you, I didn't plan on telling this story, but I'm going to tell you just because you told this story. So we went, so Beth and I, Drew and Steven and Damien, the first night we all went to dinner, and we went to this restaurant Porch. Shout out to Porch, which we go to like every single year, right? So we go to Porch, and so the waitress comes up to us, and speaking of Drew being a wine guy, my wife and Drew decide to split a bottle of wine, and they're like, and it's an expensive bottle of wine, but they're both winos, and so great, God bless. Okay. So the waitress comes up and says, excuse me, but are you Matthew Berry? And I said, yes, I am. She goes, okay, well, one of the customers would like to buy you a round of drinks. He's a fan and blah, blah, wants to remain anonymous, but would like to buy you would like to buy you a round.
Serious
To
character.
which Drew says, well, we just ordered a round and it includes this, expensive bottle of wine that's like, whatever, $150 or whatever it was, $200. Like, I don't know if he kind of planned on that. Like, maybe we'll do the next round. We're trying to be nice. We're not trying to take advantage of it. Very nice of the guy to offer that. So the waitress says, sure, fine. I'll make sure to buy the next round. So, okay. So then middle of the thing, I get to go to the bathroom, and the guy comes and goes, "Hey, I'm the guy that bought you the round." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." So I spend some time talking to him or whatever.
He
right?
blew the anonymous.
Right.
What was the point?
So it's saying, hang on.
Yeah,
Finding
where are
Dory
we at
3.
here? You're going to land this plane?
In a second. In 20
Dory
seconds.
3.
In 20 seconds. So the bill comes.
Yeah.
The bill comes, and we're just looking at it, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, this round here, I think, you told me that the guy wanted to buy it."
Oh, no.
And she goes, "Oh, well, no, he closed out and left." Didn't buy the round.
It's great.
Did that whole
Totally
thing.
conned you.
Totally conned us. And again, like, it's
fool.
not like we asked for it. We didn't ask, like, the waitress comes up to us, or like, buy the round, and then he uses it the excuse to come up to me and the whole thing, and then actually literally didn't buy the round.
That's fantastic.
Which I think is a violation.
Yeah, I've never heard that happen before.
And I never, right?
The whole entire process is bizarre. One wants to buy you around, wants to remain anonymous. Okay, very nice gesture.
Yeah.
Just a true token appreciation of all the fantasy football advice you've given over the decades.
And the three of us, we have been out to dinner before. This is not a unusual. I mean, people have done this before. People are always very gracious and kind, and so
breaks the anonymous figure. That's fine. You do want some credit, like, hey, I am the guy. But, oh, great, have a chat. I'll always remember talking to Matthew Berry.
I think I said to the waitress when she said it, I said, like, he doesn't even remain anonymous. Tell him, thank you, that's nice. Feel free to come up and say hi. Like, and we're not.
Then leaves.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I've literally never had that happen before. Where you're
You
just
should have
like,
put the bottle of wine on his tab. You blew it.
I know. It's Drew Dinsick's
That'll
fault.
teach you a
Drew was
lesson.
being nice. It's like, we ordered this expensive bottle of wine, and
Oh, dear.
what are you going to do?
Dear
All
man.
right,
What a
Finding Dory 3.
Jeremiyah Love.
Something like that. All right, we got.
Stop it. That story was worth it. Come on.
it was good.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Just didn't know where it was going in the middle part, but we got
it
there in
was
the end.
strange, but it was good. It was thrilling, some would say.
Yeah.
All right, we got
Landed on the tarmac.
updated.
It's the offseason. What are we doing?
Way
Come
too
on.
early rookie ranks, plus our way too. Yeah, it is the offseason. We got way too early picks for Super Bowl 61.
Oh, wow,
So
yeah.
we had time for the Dine and Dash story.
Yeah, sure.
Jason,
Exactly.
Dine and Dash and Jason.
I feel like it's just a violation.
Like he paid for his own food, but he didn't come through on the promise.
Yeah, exactly. And he used it as an entree when he could have just come up and said hi. Like, I mean,
That's it. You'd have been fine with that.
Of course.
Yeah.
You guys have we've all had many meals or beers together over the year. Like, people come up to us all the time.
Take a picture, have a laugh.
We do it all the time.
Drink free.
Always happy to do it. You don't have to buy me a drink to approach me.
All right, let's take a look at the rookie running
But it
backs.
doesn't hurt.
Notable movers, rookie ranks 11 through 20, because there he is, the number one pick in rookie drafts right now. Undisputed, I would say. Jeremiyah Love, Matthew.
Yeah, and look, I might be too low on him because we expect him to get a ton of work and we expect him to be involved in the passing game. My concern here is twofold. And concern is a strong word. I mean, I'm at 11, right? I'm at 11 at running. I have him as a top 12 running back. I'm as a low-end RB1. But the reason why I don't have him inside my top 10 is I do think that you could see Tyler Algier, steal some goal line work, much as he did for many years in Atlanta behind Bijan Robinson. And the other concern I have here, Connor, and I want to ask you about this. You think about when Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted by the Detroit Lions in the world of fantasy, and we were talking about 12th overall pick. He's so explosive. This is a guy. They get him into space and David Montgomery, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
It's going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show, and everyone's so excited about it. And I remember earlier that year, I was just like, guys, I'm talking with Jason Garrett to talk with, David Montgomery's going to be the lead running back. I don't think anyone realizes this. They're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs 12 to 15 touches a game. But they want to pound the ball with Dave Montgomery early on, because that was Jason Garrett had heard that from Dan Campbell, and we talked about it in the show in the preseason, and that Montgomery's actually the better value in drafts. And I'm worried we're going to see something similar here. Not that Algier is Dave Montgomery, and obviously the third overall pick is different than the 12th, but could you see a scenario where Jeremiyah Love's only getting 12 to 15 touches, at least in the first half of the season?
Yeah, and hopefully 5 of those are targets.
Yeah.
That's what you buy into, but I think the fear is real. I mean, people forget, as great as Bijan Robinson was last year, he ran in 7 touchdowns because Tyler Algier ran in 8.
Exactly.
And now you have to hope the receiving factor is so big that Jeremiyah Love gives you the rewards of taking him as a top 11 running back. But Algier is going to be a factor and more of an annoying one rather than a useful one.
Yeah, the problem with Algier is that he's quite good.
He's a good player.
And multiple coaching staffs in Atlanta they looked at their running back and were like, Tyler Algier needs to get work. We want to keep Bijan Robinson fresh. And particularly, with a rookie running back in a season where the Cardinals aren't trying to win the Super Bowl this year. That's not where they are in their
Behind
path.
a bad offensive line.
Yeah, so you could certainly see it. I just love that this bit that Tyler Algier has going for him. So I reckon next top 10 running back drafted, let's just go to hit that team next time for Tyler Algier.
He's probably bummed, though, by the way, because he's like, I've done a really good job at 1,000 yards as a rookie. I've been stuck behind this superstar in Bijan Robinson.
Right.
Okay, I'm finally a free agent. I'm going to Arizona, where it's like Trey Benson's the jury out. James Conner coming off of a serious injury. Like, I got a chance to really take over this backfield. He signs with the Cardinals, and then, then all of a sudden they decide to draft Jeremiyah Love at 3, which makes you feel like some of the reports are true. The rumors is that the front office of the Cardinals did not want Love at 3. They wanted whether it was a defensive player or to trade down, but that the owner of the team was fascinated by Love and made them draft him.
That seems like a great organizational process.
That's
because
Arizona.
it doesn't. Yeah. When you think about the fact that they signed Algier and it doesn't. In terms of how they constructed their team, it doesn't seem to have made sense. Like, if you were going to spend that pick on Love, maybe you'd do something else in the offseason.
No, and as much as I'm a huge fan of Jeremiyah Love, it doesn't make sense strategically, and it will be frustrating. And Algier, he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he can pass protect. So it's another reason he can get on the field where you're like, God, I wish Jeremiyah Love would catch a 5-yard dump off here. It's a nuisance.
And in a world where, I said, they get in close and they've got a bad offensive line, like Algier has a long track record of I can get those 4 tough yards to get into the end zone, not turn the ball over, big, kind of a bruising back. And so, again, Jeremiyah Love is a special talent, and I think people that draft him this year will be very happy at the end of it. But you're like, Barry, why isn't he number 5 or number 6 or even inside your top 10? And that's why I think you have to ding him a little bit, because I do think the workload will be limited at the start of the year, and I do think there'll be some touchdown equity taken away from him by Tyler Algier.
Ved FF Regular said, Love or Price, the better ride or die pick for the year.
Neither of those.
Huh? You're not going to choose those guys.
No, neither of those guys are in the consideration for ride or die. I mean, I prefer Love to Price, but it's not going to be a running back this year. I mean, it's too, the injuries. Like, Hampton should have worked.
Yep.
Like Kyler Murray, whatever. But Omari and Hampton should have worked.
Hampton's a good pick this year.
What?
Hampton's a great pick this year.
Maybe I'll double down.
I think you go Kyler Murray again. And it works with KOC.
By the way,
awesome.
that one might actually, by the way, 1,000%. I bet you Kyler Murray has a monster year with KOC. I agree.
Yep. But so with Tyler Algier's pass protection, if the Cardinals are down 14 with 6.5 minutes left, hurry up offense, it's going to be Jeremiyah Love in the backfield.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you draft the guy 3rd overall, and he's such a dynamic receiver that you're literally hoping the Cardinals' defense is not good, that Jeremiyah Love gets pass game work when they're in such a ridiculous script.
Yeah,
That's what you're rooting for.
The good thing is that they play in a division with possibly the 3 best teams in the NFC, so they should be getting blown, and their win total's 4.5.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of Jadarian Price, I feel like moved up, Matthew, for all the opposite reasons of Jeremiyah Love. He goes to a place where the opportunity is perfect.
Yeah, he lands in just the absolute perfect spot where he gets the first-round draft capital of the Seattle Seahawks. When you look at the running back room around him and the opportunity, we know Zach Charbonnet is going to be out for the majority of the season, or at least for the first half. And so then you think about George Halani or Emmanuel Wilson, nice role players, but not a guy like Price. And so on a team in Seattle that wants to run the ball, this is a team that was top 3 in the NFL in rush rate last season. They were tied for first in running back carries. Even though Clint Kubiak's no longer there, they're going to still run the same playbook, and they're going to want to run the ball, take pressure off Sam Darnold, play good defense, control the clock, cold weather city. And so Price, I think, in a team that will be in scoring position often, a team that our defenses can't load the box against because of Jackson Smith and Jigba, because of Rashid Shaheed there for a full season, and the other complement of receivers they have, I think Price lands in just the perfect opportunity.
What do you think of him as a pass catcher?
I think there's so much untapped potential because he's good at pass protection today, and they just didn't throw him the ball because they had Jeremiyah Love. Yeah. But you watch him in workouts, he can catch the ball. I mean, this was a 4-star recruit out of the state of Texas. This isn't some little Cinderella story. He just played behind the best running back in the country. Yep. So when you look at it like that, you're like, oh, on any other program, Jadarian Price would have been a star from volume. I'm such a fan of this guy and think that he can be such a big impact in fantasy because of the place he went to, because there's more meat on the bone if he gets more volume. And like you said, Jay, I think he has more upside as a pass catcher than we got to see in college.
The other thing is obviously they like Zach Charbonnet, but like even when Zach Charbonnet comes back, like last year he was splitting touches. You know, I mean, like the weird ones that they would give him the ball at the goal line, but
he's not dynamic.
Right. He was 1B to Ken Walker's 1A, and so they used the first-round draft capital on Price. And so even when Charbonnet comes back next year, I think it's a split between the two of them. And running backs coming off ACLs, usually it takes them a full year to get that explosiveness back. So I think Charbonnet will, even if he'll come back, he'll be 70% of what he was last year. It's going to take till the 27 season until he's the Charbonnet we've seen before. So I think there's a scenario where Price, if he's running well, continues to keep the majority of that workload even when Charbonnet comes back.
I think so, too. I think it's one of those situations they'll get to that point of the year and be like, why would we take away touches? This guy has given us an element in our offense that we need right now. But the fat guys that we're talking about, Love at 11, Price at 27, and not much else, just raises the question of, is there going to be – it wasn't a good running back class.
No.
Where you have to dig deeper to go, are you going to get any production or value out of the non-Love and Price rookie running backs in this group?
I mean, I think Jonah Coleman's interesting,
That's the one for me.
Right.
He could be leading the backfield by November if Dobbins gets banged up again, and he just always does.
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem like they have any – when you think about them re-signing Dobbins and drafting Coleman, it just feels like they just don't love R.J. Harvey, who last year, you know, was productive for fantasy because he got a lot of work and because the team was good and in scoring position often, but he dances a little bit too much.
And that was his problem in college.
Yeah, it just feels like, and I don't know, and we know that Sean Payton, and he's not going to call the plays this year, it's going to be Davis Webb, but it's going to be a Sean Payton offense, obviously, and Sean Payton has always used multiple running backs, and so if they get something out of Coleman, there's a scenario where you see, like, here's a guy that we're going to be talking about on waiver wire shows moving forward. That's just a deep sleeper. The only other guy that I'll mention, other than Coleman, might be Singleton, Nicholas Singleton with Tennessee Titans. Love him in Dynasty because, again, Pollard and Tajay Spears are both free agents at the end of this year. But I could see a scenario where they just sort of feel like, hey, let's give this. We think this guy's the future. And both Pollard and Spears have dealt with injuries in their careers. So Singleton, I think, is sort of interesting given the long-term prospects. And they could say, like, look, man, we're Carnell Tate, Cam Ward. We've got this young nucleus. Brian Daboll's the new coach. He's got no loyalty to Spears or Pollard. And so I could see Singleton carving out a role second half of the year as well.
I think with Harvey, too, like, quietly, so much of that productivity in fantasy, 12 touchdowns.
Yep.
7 on the ground, 5 through the air.
I mean, Dobbins got hurt, and he started getting big workload towards the end of the season.
And if Dobbins gets hurt again, the goal line back's going to be Jonah Coleman. It's not going to be R.J. Harvey, so you're going to lose a lot of those touchdowns. I'll give you one more. Katron Allen on the Commanders.
Yeah. That's a great one.
If Bill is just okay, Rachaad White is the running back that is always just okay, and you want a little more, if Katron Allen is starting in November or December, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not shocked. I mean, good offense.
No, exactly. I mean, look, the Commanders were in on Jeremiyah Love. I think if Love had been there at 7, they would have drafted him. And so I know from talking with my sources around the team, they really like Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, but they don't view him as a lead. They think he is better suited as a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
It's like, right, exactly. And so, I put this in my Combine Rumors column, and I talked to 2 different team sources who both said some version of, we want a thumper. We want like a, kind of a thumper. And so Rachaad White's not a thumper. Jerome Ford's not a thumper. I don't think they view Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt as a thumper.
And that is Katron Allen.
And so now you've got Katron Allen. So I think Katron Allen will carve out a role for himself in this offense sooner rather than later. I don't know that you're not using him at the beginning of the year, but I don't mind him as a very late flyer in a 12-team or deeper league.
Let's go to the wide receivers. No surprise, Jay, that Carnell Tate makes it into the top 30. Not only was he a top 5 pick in the draft, but the opportunity with Cam Ward should just be abundant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it obviously speaks to how Tennessee view him, that they were willing to use such a high draft pick on Tate, and just the key is just opportunity here, because he goes into what was a pretty barren pass catching room. Certainly last season, and they didn't do a ton in the off season to upgrade that room. Obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson will be there and will be perpetual PPR cheat code, but Carnell Tate, his fate is largely tied to Cam Ward and the leaps that Cam Ward can make, but still, I think you still have to regress to Cam Ward, what we knew of him as a prospect coming in, and not weight last year's disappointment too heavily just because he had so little to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, this is some of the logic that I used in my post-draft love-hate, which is still up on rotoworld.com, NBCsports.com. I'm a company man. The last 9 wide receivers drafted inside the top 10 all saw at least 100 targets in their rookie year. That doesn't include Travis Hunter, of course, because A, he got hurt, and B, he was playing both sides. But not counting Travis Hunter, the last 9 wide receivers drafted inside the top 10 saw triple digits in targets, and so I expect that will be the case with Carnell Tate here. Again, you've got Brian Daboll calling the plays. He's going to be pass-heavy. They've got Wan'Dale Robinson there as well. Gunnar Helm, who I like as the tight end. Like, there's a nice young core around Cam Ward, and we've talked about this, that it still remains to be seen as to whether or not Cam Ward can become what he was drafted to be. But I agree with you, Jay, that we have to sort of throw last year out and bank on the talent. And, you know, they've certainly put a lot of pieces around him to give him a chance of success in the NFL, and it starts with Carnell Tate.
We go a little further down the board, just outside the top 30. Jordyn Tyson comes in at 32. The other wide receivers right behind him are actually after 40. Makai Lemon at 44. But we'll get to that in just a moment as we look at Tyson here. I mean, there's a world, Matthew, where he's so productive as a rookie, whether that is Chris Olave, who has an unfortunate concussion history, or that Tyler Shough is just good enough to support 2 high-end wide receivers in this Saints offense.
Yeah, that's the goal here. I mean, again, this is somebody we talked about after taking over to the starter last year. Tyler Shough averaged over 250 passing yards a game. He was top 8 in the NFL. Rashid Shaheed, prior to being traded in this same offense, 22% target share. He was like wide receiver 36. He was in the top 36. So I have Tyson initially at 32. I've baked in a little bit of injury concern there with the reason why I'm lower on him season long is just because, you know, I think he'll probably miss a few games. We know all about the injury history, but there's absolutely a scenario in a world in which Jordyn Tyson plays the entire season that he is by far the most productive rookie wide receiver. The explosiveness, the potential there for Tyson from a skill standpoint, from Kellen Moore's offense, from a lack of target competition. It's really only him and Chris Olave, all due respect to Oscar Delp and Juwan Johnson. Like, it's really going to be Olave and Tyson on the outside here. And so, you know, Tyson, who scored 19 touchdowns in 21 college games, Connor, like, is a guy that, you know, is so explosive with the ball in his hands.
He's a great player. I mean, a true number 1 wide receiver. I thought he was the only guy in this class that, to me, evaluating was you look at him and go, okay, he could be an NFL number 1. I like Carnell Tate a lot, but I thought Tyson was but you brought up the health, and then he plays in an offense where he's going to be sharing more targets than Carnell Tate. But I still like Jordyn Tyson at cost of that late in drafts.
I think the key is, too, is that Tyler Shough has already proven that he can put up big volume passing games in the NFL. And I know a lot of that is about, you know, can be about game script, but like, you know, compare that. Bryce Young just doesn't have these big passing volume games. It just hasn't really happened in his career. Tyler Shough has already proven that he can do that.
Right.
What he showed the second half of the season to finish second in Offensive Rookie of the Year, he played at a really high level. And
just the last thing I'll say about Shough here, and I don't have a stat for Tyler Shough here, but I always think that fantasy analysis, people just we talk so much about numbers and X's and O's, and people forget they're players. Players are human beings with emotions, with egos and insecurities, everything like that. And there's just a massive difference for a player that last year goes into New Orleans with people saying, like, wait, they should have taken Shedeur Sanders. Wait, Tyler Shough? Why? Isn't he old? Like, I don't know about this guy. And, like, he doesn't start the season as a starter, and, like, they throw him in there. The season's not going as great. And, like, oh, you know, and so you're like, hey, am I only getting 1 week? Am I still the starter? So there's a difference between what Tyler Shough's mentality was last year, where he's sort of week to week for a while, you know, and trying to finding his way, versus this year where he knows he's the man. The Saints didn't draft another quarterback. Like, they're going into the offseason saying, hey, Tyler Shough, you are our guy. You're our franchise quarterback. All the offseason, everything that Kellen Moore is doing is like, hey, what do you do well? I'm going to design my offense to maximize we add Etienne or Achan or however he's pronouncing his name. We're adding
Travis.
Travis. We add Travis. We improve the offensive line with Edwards. We draft Jordyn Tyson here. Like, you know, we draft Oscar Delp. Like, they're putting pieces around Tyler Shough. Good offensive line. So I just think that's important, that we tend to forget the mental aspect of it. And I do think you'll see a big leap for Shough this year just because he knows he's the guy. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder.
Yep.
Like, there's something to say that.
Aloha Bricks asked, I'm drafting our rookies for our dynasty later this week. I have 2 first-round picks. Should I draft Tate or Tyson first? Who will have the bigger upside overall?
Tyson.
Yeah, he's got way more upside.
I'm in the dynasty league that I'm in with producer Damien. I had the 3rd pick this year, and I didn't. I have the 10th pick, but the 3rd pick came up. Jeremiyah Love was pick 1. Jadarian Price was pick 2.
Oh wow! Is it not
and it's
super
a super
flex? Oh,
it's
wow.
a super flex.
Wow.
So I was convinced it was either going to be Mendoza or Tyson, and so then all of a sudden Tyson's there. So I immediately called my buddy DJ, who had the 3rd pick, and I traded 110 and my first round last year to move up next year. To move up to get Jordyn Tyson at 3 because I do think he's that special.
Yeah.
We swapped some players.
It's also,
as well, but
it's kind of crazy to say this given where they were drafted last year, but there is arguably a kind of more stable range of outcomes around Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough was better than Cam Ward last year. Now, Tyler Shough had Chris Olave and he had a better context, but Cam Ward still needs to demonstrate that in the NFL that he can play at the level Tyler Shough did last year. So I think that, normally you would be like, well, Tate has the number 1 draft pick quarterback. He's got higher upside there, but I'm not sure that those guys are so far apart as we speak right now.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of the question that you answered, Matthew, in one of my leagues, I have the 1-3. I know it's going to go Love Mendoza. I'm taking Tyson. And I didn't really have to think that long about it, which was kind of nice. There's a cluster outside of Tate and Tyson. They're 25 and 32. But then you have Makai Lemon at 44, Casey Concepcion at 46, Omar Cooper Jr. at 55. Casey Concepcion could be the number 1 wide receiver on the Browns this year, guys. But the question is, we don't know what the quarterback situation will look like, of course.
Yeah, what does it mean to be the number 1 wide receiver on the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, because that was Harold Fannin last year, and he's a tight end.
The hope here is that when you think about what Todd Monken did with Zay Flowers in Baltimore, that he is going to do something similar with Casey Concepcion, figure out different ways to get the ball in his hands, gadget plays, sweeps, quick hitches, just different things that they use because he's so good after the catch, Concepcion is, that he just, I could see him having the Zay Flowers role in Todd Monken's offense. And so that's what you're hoping for, is that even if there's, regardless of who's playing quarterback, that they manufacture enough touches for Concepcion that it matters. And, are there sweeps at the goal line? Are there little, shovel passes, those kind of things to just, try to take advantage of his versatility?
Yep. What kind of a statistical season do you think Omar Cooper's going to have on the Jets?
It's fascinating because you have him and the guy drafted in the same round as him competing for targets in Kenyon Sadiq, and an offense that Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are going to get so many touches of.
Number 4 guy?
Yeah, I would lean with that because Adonai Mitchell's still hanging around.
My boy.
Right.
Mitchell, former Colt.
If Cooper feels like the total, let's wait and see, you don't need to draft him. We'll see because he genuinely.
That's one of the strangest offenses in the league.
There's just so much going
Smith
on.
thrown to all these dudes.
That's the other key is which Geno do we get?
Yeah.
We all think we're going to get Seattle Geno, and that last year in Las Vegas was, that's a wash and not on Geno. But
I'm expecting halfway between.
That's what I keep saying.
Between the two.
Yeah, not the 4,300 yards, but can we get the 3,600 yards?
Yeah.
Support Garrett Wilson, support one other guy, or they're just going to be spread so thin they don't really matter in fantasy.
Yeah.
Where Garrett and Breece Hall matter, but the Kenyon Sadiq, Omar Cooper, Adonai Mitchell are not utilized in fantasy. And poor Mason Taylor is falling off a cliff.
Sad.
Yeah. It was
so
fun.
tier.
It was fun while it lasted.
You see Makai Lemon there. I think Makai Lemon's ultimately going to be a better NFL player than fantasy prospect, at least a middle. Because I think DeVonta Smith. Look, A.J. Brown, by the way, I did my rankings assuming A.J. Brown's going to be in the Patriots, the worst kept secret in the NFL. But, Brown had a 30% target share last year, but I think a lot of that goes to DeVonta Smith. I don't think it all of a sudden, Makai Lemon gets a 25% target share or anything like that. And so I think the rest of it, with Lemon, Dontayvion Wicks, Hollywood Brown, Dallas Goedert, I think that it all gets sort of split up among them. Saquon out of the backfield as well, et cetera, et cetera. The 2 guys that I think are really interesting here that we've talked about that are sort of on the others receiving votes on rookies is Germie Bernard, who I know you love.
Yeah, big
Roll
fan.
Tide. But again, assuming Aaron Rodgers is back with the Steelers, just when you think about how low his average depth of target is and just how short how short that passing game is and how much Mike McCarthy has used the slot receiver in previous offenses, I do think Germie Bernard could be somebody kind of interesting this year.
I liked him a little better than Casey Concepcion in the draft. Now, Concepcion goes into a situation where he's earning targets the day he puts on a practice jersey, where Germie Bernard has to deal with a couple wide receivers ahead of him.
Metcalf and Pitt.
But I'm with you all the way, Matthew. He'll get to play the slot. He could be utilized in a lot of different ways. He's an interesting dynasty pick because when the Aaron Rodgers era ends in Pittsburgh, there'll be more upside there.
They've
We
already
just
ended.
don't.
Who knows?
We'll see. I think he's
Only
back
he
this year.
knows.
Yeah.
And also, I'll just say Antonio Williams, not Antonio Brown.
That'd be
speaking of
wild,
Pittsburgh
though.
wide receiver.
True.
Yes, if he came back. But no, Antonio Williams for my Commanders, just again, like after Terry McLaurin, we've got Treylon Burks and Diami Brown and Luke McCaffrey. And there's lots of rumors about Brandon Ayuk, but that hasn't happened yet. And
no one knows what's going on with him.
And we haven't seen Brandon Ayuk play football in over a year either as well. We don't know if he's still Brandon Ayuk, in capital letters. And so there's a very real possibility that the number 2 wide receiver on the Commanders, from a talent standpoint at least, is Antonio Williams.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
And he could just play the slot and get open and catch 5 short area targets.
Yeah.
I'm with you all the way on that.
Think about how often Jaden Daniels or even Mariota, that offense last year utilized Zach Ertz, right? Who's not back with the team. And so again, new offense coordinator, but it's David Blau who's going to run Ben Johnson's offense from Detroit. And I'm not saying Antonio Williams is Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, but it's going to be that role. It's going to be that slot role in this offense.
Yep. I've got to say a couple things. One, I think we forget with the Commanders is that it wasn't that long ago that Jane Daniels was playing in an NFC title game,
Right,
to the Super Bowl, and was like the chosen one. And now all of a sudden, like people just kind of forget about that team entirely. This could easily be just a top 5, top 7 offense again, just purely because Jaden Daniels is that good. And secondly, the NFL, an amazing place for second chances. Brandon Ayuk did not show up to work. He did not show up to work.
Drove by the stadium.
It's unbelievable what happened. Some of the stuff, like the Shanahan comments about that, like, I've never seen anything like this. It was bizarre. Now teams are queuing up for Brandon Ayuk. I don't know, it's strange. But obviously he has upside, and he was, effectively the number 1 wide receiver on a team that went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and he's still young enough. But yeah, it's a very strange saga.
There's a connection there between him and Jaden Daniels, which is why everyone's drawing the lines there. And so maybe in a world where he's playing with 5, the behavior changes. But he shows up to work. He actually shows up at the stadium.
Of course, with rookies added into the ranks, we have some notable movers from the veterans. A.J. Brown actually goes up, Matthew, from wide receiver 14 to wide receiver 11 because you expect him to be the number 1 wide receiver clear-cut for New England.
I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, the Patriots were 8th in total wide receiver fantasy points last year. Now, it was spread around. You had some Diggs, and you had Pop Douglas, and you had, Kyle Williams, and, whatever, Keyshawn Booty. And everyone loves Booty, of course. Shout out Denny Carter, wherever you're at. But the fact is that we think Drake May, we love Drake May. This is a guy that was 2nd in average depth of target last season. They were chucking it deep. He's not scared to throw it deep. Very high passer rating on passes, 1,500 yards more downfield. He was accurate down the field. And so now you bring in A.J. Brown, who would truly be the alpha in this offense. And so I think Josh McDaniels would be very excited to get him into this Patriots offense. So, I ranked him as if he is going to go to the Patriots where you could argue, quote, more target competition because there's a lot of guys. But when you make a trade for that,
he's the guy.
He's going to be the guy. And it's just going to be a higher passing volume offense than the Eagles were. The Eagles were, always a bottom 10 pass offense. They wanted to run the ball. And so I don't think you're going to see A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline. Like, he's going to be busy in a Josh McDaniels offense. So, that's why he actually moves up. I ranked him as if he's a member of the Patriots.
Of course, the trickle effect of that, Jay, is that DeVonta Smith goes from wide receiver 22 to a top 15 wide receiver.
Maybe the most interesting skill position player in the league this year, DeVonta Smith, who, as we always mention, literally won the Heisman Trophy and has immense talent and upside, and just how much of that has been capped by, having A.J. Brown there as a legit wide receiver 1 next to him, and how much can DeVonta Smith expand his game with A.J. Brown likely gone? how much can Jalen Hurts expand his game in his passing tree for DeVonta Smith? So, yeah, very interesting season coming up for DeVonta Smith. If you told me that DeVonta Smith is a top 3 wide receiver in football this year, that seems plausible to me. Now, he could just be the same guy and doesn't develop in the way that you want, but huge upside for Smith.
On the short list for ride or die, DeVonta.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's
like
actually
that a lot.
Yeah, that's a very good
I mean, the proof is kind of in the pudding with him. The only year he got more than 113 targets, he had almost 1,200 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the one time he got the targets of it was 136 targets, which isn't crazy number 1 wide receiver targets.
Yeah.
If he gets 150 this year, he's probably going to have a 1,300-yard, 8-touchdown season.
Yeah, I think if you're betting on anyone to make the JSN type of leap, he's the obvious pick, I think. Just lastly on A.J. Brown, he's only 28 years old. Feels like A.J. Brown's been around forever because this is going to be his 3rd team. And I know last year wasn't pretty, and there were, some of the separation stats not great for A.J. Brown, but I do think that he is going to go to to your point, Matthew, a much kind of more pass-friendly ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the last one, Terry McLaurin moved up from wide receiver 27 to wide receiver 22 because as much as we like Antonio Williams, Matthew, it's not like they added anyone crazy.
No, I mean, because, again, in sort of some of the pre-draft mocks, Jeremiyah Love at 7, Carnell Tate at 7 were among the players. And so the thought that, we like Antonio Williams, but, day 3 pick, right? The fact that they didn't add anyone in day 1 or 2 to this wide receiver room, and as we sit here today, Brandon Ayuk is not a member of them. Again, so Terry McLaurin becomes the alpha in a room where right now he's got a rookie Antonio Williams who we like, but then, as I mentioned, he's got Treylon Burks and Diami Brown and Luke McCaffrey, and Chiga Okonkwo. There's not a ton where you sit there and go oh, well, he's not getting the target. So we are banking on a healthy Jaden Daniels behind a better offensive line, and that Terry McLaurin also needs to stay healthy. But after the draft, he moves up because, again, they didn't add any significant target competition for McLaurin.
All right. CC Sabathia, guys, has a new podcast.
Go Yanks.
With
Oh,
us.
interesting. I thought, I literally thought you were going to say, CC Sabathia has a comment, that he was in a
That would have
chat
been really cool.
with
We'll
the
work
regulars.
on that. We're going to work on that. MLB, according to CC, from Clubhouse Stories to unfiltered conversations about what's happening around the league. New episodes with CC and our friend Ahmed Fareed drop every Wednesday on all major podcast platforms. We're going to take our first break. When we're back, more rankings coming your way. QB and tight end after this. Saturday, it's a Premier League morning on Peacock and NBCSN as Liverpool hosts Chelsea at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Getting up early, Jay? Then on NBC and Peacock, Man City takes on Brentford at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Live. That is Saturday on NBC Peacock and, of course, NBCSN.
Won't be getting up early, Connor, but I will be tuning in at 12:30 to see my beloved Brentford Bees hopefully take down
Is that
Man
right?
City. Yeah,
a Brentford man.
No, I'm an Arsenal man.
He's
but
an
I'm
Arsenal
a de
man, but
facto.
he needs Brentford.
I'm a fan of every team playing Man City each week. So after my experience at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, I want that team to suffer. I want them to suffer every single week.
If Arsenal wins the Premier League title, regulars, I want you to know that our friend Jay Croucher here will earn enough money to retire.
Right?
To retire. A significant amount of money.
This is a whopper?
Yeah,
This is a big one.
Yeah, I'm hoping to buy Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Kroenke family, they do pretty well for themselves.
So what do you need? So you went there, Arsenal loses. How do you feel about the bet now? Because I know you felt like if Arsenal had beaten Man City, boom, it was done.
Well, there was a tremendous result earlier this week where it was a 3-3 draw, Man City, Everton. Man City were up 1-0 at halftime and completely dominating Everton, and it was so bad that I just turned it off because I was having a terrible time.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I was like, this is an awful experience. I don't want to watch Man City just clobber Everton. I'm going to go play with my kids in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that...
Always a good backup.
Yeah.
Oh, my betting isn't going good.
Or
fine.
something.
Yeah, fine. I'll go play with the kids.
And then, miraculously, me making that decision single-handedly triggered an Everton comeback. Right. Everton pull off a miraculous 3-3 draw. So now Arsenal are 2 points clear. Arsenal play 3 of the bottom teams the final 3 weeks. If Arsenal beat those 3 teams, they win the league.
There you go.
So it is all set up. It's very stressful.
Yeah,
not enjoying it at all.
That sounds miserable.
When you win all this money, what will you buy your children that you're clearly going to ignore as you watch Arsenal win those 3 games?
Yeah, so there's a lot of candidates. Look, there's a lot of sports merch floating around the house that is largely unused. It's one of my great strengths or weaknesses, depending on how you look at it, is whenever I win a big bet, I commemorate it by buying merch of the team. So I have random San Diego Padres Hawaiian shirts and stuff from when they made the playoffs.
Nas Reed jerseys.
Bryce Harper jerseys.
A lot of strange stuff. So there'll be, I'm sure, some strange Arsenal things floating around.
I was asking for your kids, maybe a pony.
Yeah, he goes right to merch for him.
Right, merch for him. I was asking
Never
about
about
the kids that you're going to be ignoring while you're watching your betting. I was just saying, again, young girls, they like ponies.
Yeah.
Buy them a pony.
I don't want to buy my children a pony. It's
a
a
Yankees
horrible
hat.
purchase.
But just so you know, the amount of money he's winning, he could buy, ponies.
Is that serious?
Plural. Oh, yeah.
It's very stressful.
yeah.
All right.
The great thing as well about sweating soccer is that it's just 90 minutes of just full-blown pain.
Oh, sure.
It just doesn't. There's no timeouts. It's brutal.
Ryan Oswald. Yeah, do you burn the merch when it fails you? Will you buy it when you already won?
There have been when Tamar Hamlin lost comeback player of the year. There may have been some Buffalo Bills hats burnt out the front of my porch. It was a grim state of affairs, but. No, the merch usually is post-victory.
Right.
I like to go the
Can't
early crow
lose.
with the merch.
Yeah,
It's bad karma.
I get
Big
that.
believer in the karma bus.
Last quick comment before we get into all this is just so you know, Medici set up a Discord for all the regulars as well. The link expired or something like that. I think Medici's going to put it into the chat, but it's on my Twitter as well if you go to my Twitter. But anyway, so there, the Discord. There you go. There's Medici. There you go. Morning regulars, we've started a Discord server for anyone and everyone to join. We talk all things fantasy and FFH. FHHH, has Connor actually seen Star Wars yet?
Right, May the 4th.
I was going to ask you.
Walk straight ahead.
By the way, on that, I watched with my daughter Phantom Menace. Recently rewatched it in 1999. Not a good movie.
No.
Not a good movie. No. Very poorly written. Two-sided lightsaber. That's it. Everything else is not good.
Is that there's a Yoda fight? Is the Yoda fight? It's there's a Yoda fight.
Once again, I'm on the right side of history.
Yeah. All right. Not a good movie.
Anyway.
Back to rankings.
Everyone join the Discord, is all I'm saying. Or come to my Twitter.
Quarterback that comes in as QB 28. He, at the moment, Matthew, is not expected to be the...
Yeah, and honestly, even if he is, what's the fantasy upside here? He's not somebody that runs. We know Clint Kubiak wants to run the ball, and it's not going to be an explosive passing attack. They want to run the ball to set up play action. But this is an offense that's going to be featured around Ashton Genty. Last season, under Clint Kubiak, they were 29th in pass attempts. The Seahawks were, and that was with Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Right.
Now you've got. We love Brock Bowers, but the only wide receiver on this team to see a 12% or more target share last year was Trey Tucker. So I have Mendoza as QB 28. I don't even think he's he's somebody for Superflex and Dynasty, but I don't think he is somebody that even in 2 quarterback leagues, or, this year is somebody that I'm, targeting.
I find it incredibly strange that he's not this week 1 starter.
I'm with you.
I find this completely baffling. It's not like he's Jalen Milroe.
No,
this is
of
a very
course.
pro-ready quarterback.
I don't know if this is a Tom Brady influenced decision. I don't know what it is. I think he's ready to roll.
Yeah.
If I was a Raiders fan, I'd want to see him play. I don't need to see Kirk Cousins play.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's just maybe they just don't have the confidence and they want to
they're being delicate and really careful. I think, though, after, one Kirk Cousins stinker, everyone's going to be like, come on, guys, let's see.
It's going to be like the Giants last year where everyone was like, why isn't Jaxson Dart starting from week 1? And
Right.
And
who also played a lot of college football, Jaxson Dart.
Exactly.
He was a 3-year starter.
And who also was better than Russell Wilson.
I mean,
they would have done better had they started him.
That's right. But the whole plan of last year was Russell Wilson's going to start, we're looking at the bye week of week 8 or 9. And then, Russell Wilson just brutal for 2 or 3 weeks. And they're like, okay. Jaxson Dart, and that's what's going to happen here, I think, yes.
Some notable quarterback movers, Jaxson Dart, speaking of him, he enters top 10 quarterback status. He goes from QB 13 to QB 9, Matthew.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I just feel better about this offense overall, and some of the pieces that they've added as well. I think the offensive line's going to be better. He'll be running a little bit more.
Big help. Maui knows a big help in front of Jaxson Dart on the line.
Yeah, so he moves up a little bit here as well. I mean, again, think about once he took over the starter in week number 4, he was QB 6 on a points per game basis, rushed for over 40 yards a game during that stretch. And then you think about John Harbaugh, and again, John Harbaugh is not coaching the plays, is not calling the plays, but he is somebody that oversaw a team with Lamar Jackson. He's obviously comfortable. For years, we were always like, wait, are they going to limit Lamar? And they never did. And so I don't think they're going to, quote-unquote, limit Jaxson Dart in this offense. I think he's going to continue to run as he wants to. So
Tyler Shough also on the move. He enters top 20 quarterback status. He goes from QB 22 to QB 17. Jay gets a big boost with basically has 2 number 1 wide receivers now.
Yeah, and sometimes we forget just exactly how good Chris Olave is because he hasn't been on the field consistently. But Chris Olave, to your point, is a legit, proven wide receiver 1 type of talent, and Jordyn Tyson has the upside to become that. And then the key with Shough is that he's in a rare position of, coming into what will be his first full season in the NFL on a team that I think had the lowest win total in the league going into last year.
That's right.
But has a very strong offensive line, which is pretty rare for someone in his situation. So they've invested a ton of resources into the offensive line. Tyler Shough, it's all there for him. He's got the wide receivers, he's got the line, and he's got the coach as well.
At tight end, only one real notable rookie here that enters the top 20, and it's right at 20. That's Kenyon Sadiq, the 16th overall pick in the draft here, Matthew. It was a deep tight end class, but maybe not a star-studded tight end class. But Sadiq's athleticism and maybe opportunity puts him into this range.
Right, and you sort of think about Frank Reich and what he's going to bring to this offense. When he was the head coach of your Colts, Jay, the Colts were actually 7th in tight end target share. He's used the tight end in his play calling before. Now they have Mason Taylor there. And the other thing is you sort of look at this list. You look at Isaiah Likely there. You look at Oronde Gadsden, Dalton Kincaid at 15. Even, Juwan Johnson or Hawkinson at 18 with an improved Kyler Murray. It's weirdly deep tight end.
With
none of these are
guys.
There's viable guys. All of those guys are viable on a weekly basis where you're I could get 8 to 12 points out of them, and if they score a touchdown, it pays off for you. So it was just as I was doing the rankings, it was hard to get him higher, but we love the talent, and again, as we sort of said, Jay said this, we don't know if the Jets' offense is going to be good next year, but it looks like they might be good adjacent.
Right, competent is the word we always use. Geno could actually throw the ball. Right. You brought up Frank Reich, which is a great point because he was going ballistic in the draft room when they got Sadiq. Nobody was happier on planet Earth than him, so hopefully he has a real plan for this guy. Yeah,
I was just looking up because I forgot, bad Colts fan me, but who Frank Reich's tight ends were in Indianapolis. It was the great Jack Doyle, who was throwing to a ton. And Mo Wiley Cox was still around.
It was quite the array of characters.
But people that played fantasy for a while, remember that, Jack Doyle was sort of usable for a while. And not like a great talent.
Poor man's Jake Ferguson type of operator.
Right. Never amazing. But the fact that Jack Doyle was sort of usable sort of tells you when you get a physical prowess like Kenyon Sadiq in there, suddenly, yes, you would expect Frank Reich to have a plan specifically for Sadiq. Again, a couple of tears for my Mason Taylor dynasty shares, where I have him everywhere, and he's now useless.
Doyle going, yeah, it's over. Doyle going 80 for 690 in 2017 is wild. He had 108 targets.
To be fair, that's Andrew Luck days, right?
Right.
So,
right. But the bottom line is, like, this was a Frank Reich pick, Kenyon Sadiq, and I think he's going to force the ball to him almost.
Frank Reich has had a ridiculous coaching career and cycle and circuitous. Frank Reich was like a Coach of the Year candidate in 2021 as he was like leading Carson Wentz in the epic Jonathan Taylor season. And then they lose, much to my chagrin, it's 17-point favorites in Jacksonville. And it's all been south for Frank Reich there.
Yeah.
Carolina, random little stay with Stanford.
Yeah.
Now OC of the New York Jets.
Some notable veteran movers. Mark Andrews goes up from tight end 18 to tight end 12 with Isaiah Likely gone. Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, again, they were also in the mix for Sadiq. They were, the thought, would they get more help? I like the wide receiver picks they made, but I mean, it's going to be Mark Andrews. You think about the fact that the 4 games that Isaiah Likely has missed over the past 2 seasons, 80% route participation, six straight seasons with at least a 25% red zone target share, and there's no one that you sit. I mean, we like Zay Flowers, but he's not a big, I think there is a very real chance that Mark Andrews leads the Ravens next year in touchdown receptions. And so do I think Mark Andrews has a lot left? No, but I didn't.
Maybe the Ravens do.
Maybe the Ravens clearly do because they signed him to a big extension and they let Isaiah Likely walk.
Also, Dallas Goedert, our faller here, he goes from tight end 10 to tight end 13 as the Eagles drafted Eli Stowers, a pass-catching only, essentially, tight
And
end.
also, Makai Lemon to take some of the
right,
work over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Just a lot more bodies and, guys that'll earn targets.
Yeah,
So.
that's exactly right.
All right, we're going to take one more break. When we're back, last call, we have our way too early picks to win the Super Bowl after this. Yeah.
Wonder who I'll take.
New York Giants?
Your Colts? Arsenal. I'm picking up.
On DraftKings Sportsbook, new DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $100 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app, use promo code FFHH when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
Oh, the crowd is yours.
Crowd is yours. call. Super Bowl 61 championship odds here, fellas. I'm going Niners plus 1,700. It's got to happen for Kyle Shanahan eventually.
Yeah, honestly, listen, I had circled that as well. I totally agree with you. Like, he is due. That team was almost there with, like, literally no one left on defense.
Totally fell apart.
They need a season where they can stay healthy, but if they do, I love that pick.
Yep. There may be a curse at work that you'll have to overcome, but all curses are made to be broken. Speaking of teams that are cursed, give me the Cincinnati Bengals at 22-1. And here's the reason why. When I'm looking at futures markets this early out, one of the main kind of guiding principles that I have is that offense is much more stable and predictable year to year. If you have a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, you're going to have an elite offense if those guys stay on the field. Defense is much more variable year to year, which may not be that provide much comfort to Bengals fans because their defense hasn't really varied year to year. It's just been bad consistently each year. But I think adding Dexter Lawrence, Brian Cook, Boye Mafe, DJ Turner, I really like his corner, CB1 there. I think there is upside for the Bengals, and also they get to play the AFC South and NFC South.
Yeah, by the way, and, I'm going to take the Commanders, 65-1. Handle the Commanders.
We really made a
Why not?
muck of this segment.
Well, look, they've improved. A healthy Jadyn Daniels, to your point about offense.
I like the odds.
If they're 65-1, they've actually had a great offseason with their defense.
Yes.
Right? And so if you have a healthy Jadyn Daniels and a good defense, then I think there's a real chance. If you wanted me to give a team that isn't, a homer pick, I might give me the Bills at 10-1. Again, sort of the same argument that we know their offense is going to be good. Can the defense come through?
Stay healthy, win the war of attrition.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Did they get a little bump from a new coach?
It's the greatest curse of all there.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on the field in Denver for them not to win that game. But, the Bills, again, Bills, Ravens, these teams are going to be thereabouts.
Yeah, at some point they're due. Ravens also with a new coaching staff, Jesse Minter bringing a bit of a tough mentality.
West Wordable said, this is my first time watching the show live. I came for the ankles, and I'm disappointed by the lack thereof.
There you go.
Thanks,
there you go,
West.
Wordable. There you go.
Stuff.
It's a little skin for you, a little magic for you.
Only ankles.
Time to go.
Sorry. Yeah, I pulled them up. They weren't the small cut things that normally.
Phil said, I tuned to the show late, and I don't see Barry with the low-cut ankle socks. It's the worst day ever. You're all demons for provoking
I got
this.
to talk to Samantha in wardrobe. I don't know. This is what was given to me. I don't know what happened.
Not giving the people what they want.
Sam and Dina, got to give the
Strategically, that's
people
what
what
was
they
given to
want.
you.
Hiding the beast, so to speak.
What are we going to do? All right, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We're back next week for the season finale. For Jay and Connor, I'm Matthew. We'll see you next Thursday. Peace out.